Right, welcome back everyone. We've got all set up and now it's time for F-Zero X Climax. Valyssa, good luck with that. I know you're going to put up a great show.
Alright, hello everybody, this is F-Zero X Climax, and I am just about ready to go, so we're going to be playing on Sensei difficulty. It's the highest difficulty, which is actually quite difficult in this ROM hack, so that should be a nice challenge. So, are you ready? Okay. Yeah, give me a countdown. Not quite ready. So this is a ROM hack made by an F-Zero community member. He's actually like very good at the game himself, so he kind of balanced every track around like all the crazy tricks that are in this game. So you're going to be seeing a lot of jump plates, a lot of sliding. I guess I'll start with sliding. It's the most basic tech. When you set your machine to be like max acceleration, so it accelerates as quickly as possible, and you lose your grip and then you slide sideways, you gain a lot of speed. That's like the most basic form of speed tech in this game. It's quite simple. It's best with a machine with an E-rank grip. That's why we're using Blood Out, because it has B-rank body, A-rank boost, which is also quite important, and then E-rank grip. So that means it gets a lot of speed from sliding, and it's quite easy to lose grip as well, which can be troublesome, but for the most part it's pretty manageable. So next up is the double tap dive, which is this crazy thing. When your machine is sideways and you do a side attack, and you push your machine's nose down, you get a lot of speed from that. So basically with all these jump plates, we can set up our machine in such a way that we get a good angle and then we just point the nose down and we spam the other side attack button. So for this example, I'm gonna be side attacking to the right first, and then again side attack to the right downward. That will give me a lot of speed. That's a kill thing. I didn't know that was there. Actually, let me just restart the cup, otherwise I have only one life. I was expecting to die in this round, so we're not going to go over estimate just from that. But I genuinely had no idea that was there, so that's kind of unfortunate. Then we get to see this track again, and we get to talk about how pretty it is. So if you know the normal F-Zero X textures, they are a lot more dull than this. They're like not quite as vibrant. It doesn't have quite as many texture to it. It's just pretty bad looking in general, in my opinion. It was a sacrifice that they made to keep 60 FPS. But Philippe Bergay, the guy who made this hack, did also replace all the textures. Or not all of them, but like the majority of them. Which means we get a lot of varied looking tracks. So this is Mute City. It is pretty good looking in my opinion. There's gonna be like several more venues that are based off of the F-Zero Climax game, the GBA game, the final one that ever came out in a series, Rip F-Zero. So all the track mini-maps are based on the F-Zero Climax maps. So that game was only 2D, so every track was completely flat. But in this ROM hack, he took some creative liberty. He made some tracks like angle certain ways. He added some jump plates to make it go faster. He added some other elements that were not in the original game, such as pipes, cylinders, stuff like that. All of the F-Zero X stuff. So that was Mute City 6 Carat, the first game from F-Zero Climax. It's pretty basic, but adding the jump plates really adds a lot to it. So right here we have Sand Ocean, which also looks a lot more vibrant than its original F-Zero X counterparts. And once again, we can make use of jump plates to go very fast. It's not just jump plates, it's also just general gaps in the road that you can use. So whenever we can get air, we're probably going to be doing a double tap dive. Sadly, the CPU kind of get in the way in some races. The reason this ROM hack is a lot more difficult is that AI tried to finish within a certain time, and these tracks are longer than the original tracks. So they still try to finish in the same time that they would try to finish in Silence 1 in F-Zero X, but this track is a lot longer, so they're basically just going to be speeding up for, well, no reason. They're kind of just cheating. One basic thing about F-Zero is that you use your health bar to boost. So you see in the top right, I have an energy bar, which I can recharge by going over those pink refillers right there. So if I'm ever out of energy and then I hit a wall, it's over. There's no respawns. So I'm going to be avoiding that as much as possible. Okay. That was not the best dive. Setting up DTs can be quite tricky, because a small adjustment in the setup can make a big change in angle, and you might miss the road or you might just slam into a wall. It can get pretty bad. So you have to be very careful and just go by the feeling. Like, does the setup feel right? If not, you might want to bail and not go for the dive, and instead just try to land safely. So that is the second track done. The goal is to get 600 points, but it doesn't really matter. Port Time Sky Highway. F-Zero Climax version of this track actually has a little shortcut. Unfortunately, the checkpoint system in this game doesn't allow for that. You do have to hit every single checkpoint, so you can only skip small sections of the track. Whereas in F-Zero Climax, it pretty much doesn't, so you can get like a 10-second lap if you can find a way to just maneuver around. Okay, that was a really bad angle, so thankfully I managed to save it. So you have very little maneuverability when you're in the middle of a double tap dive. So it is very important to get a good setup. There are several different types of double tap dives. I usually just go for the one where you... okay, I missed that. That's unfortunate. That can actually drain your energy very quickly. Okay, there's a few ways you can do a double tap dive. I usually go for this one or a similar one, but uses side attacks to set up. Usually when I hit jump plates, I'll go for the ones with side attacks. Whereas if it's just a gap, I do them without side attacks. I'm not sure if that's necessarily better, it's just what I'm used to, and it just feels better to me, so that's what I'm sticking with. Unfortunately, that crash in lap 2 did cost me quite a lot of time, so I might not actually finish first here. That's a pretty good dive. Hopefully I'll be able to pass everybody. Except there's still one person ahead. It's Night Thunder, the other machine that's very good. It has the same stats, but it's a bit heavier, which in most cases is actually worse. You want to have a light vehicle because you'll get better speed out of dives. But they are both very viable. The vehicles in this game are not too varied. There's 4 different stats, and it's all just dependent on that. And some vehicles have the same stats, so they'll feel very similarly. Well, the same except for the weight. The weight is always a bit different. But yeah, usually you'll just want a machine with A rank boost, so that kind of limits your choice.
Do we have time for some quick donations?
We do.
Alrighty. We got $10 from Patsy saying, "Good luck with the event, everyone. I know you're going to smash it." And we also got a €20 donation from Ash the Husky saying, "Hi, good luck on your run." And then a heart.
Thank you. Yeah, one other thing about sliding is that you get a lot more speed from sliding if you're boosting. So usually I want to save my boost for times where I can combine it with a slide. Normally a slide caps out a bit over 1,000 kilometers per hour, but with a boost you can go over 1,400. And what happened right there is a jump plate glitch. This game is 60 FPS, but because of how fast you go, it is still possible to completely go through a jump plate between 2 frames and never hit it. And it's the bane of every runner's existence. The faster you go, the more likely it is that it'll happen. So the better you get, the more you're gonna run into it. When it happens on that second jump plate right there, that was actually beneficial. I don't want to hit that. Diving off that will make me land too close to the corner. That'll make it very difficult to not hit it and lose all my speed. Sometimes you want it to happen, but usually you really don't. So there's 2 more tracks in this cup. This is Firefield. As you can see, very vibrant red, orangey lava below us, so we definitely do not want to fall down. There's going to be a very trippy tunnel coming up. Probably going to kill the bitrate a bit if you're watching on lower quality. That kind of happens. I am quite low on energy, so we're just going to play it safe here. Because I'm playing on Master difficulty, I have 2 extra lives. Or Sensei difficulty, as Philippe Roger renamed it. Okay, I didn't land in an optimal spot there. I had to immediately double tap turn out of it, which costs you a lot of speed. I'm also almost dead. So let's make sure I don't actually die. Not the best setup. I should have gone more to the right. So you have to be very careful with every single DTD, because if you land it badly, you're just gonna lose like over a minute, depending on how far into the track you are. Because again, no respawns. There's a jump plate there that we could use instead of just going to go for the refill and keep on boosting. So again, not first place unfortunately, but it's no big deal. Like, the CPU are pretty challenging, so I'm not too embarrassed about it. So, the final track on this cup, Big Blue Arch Hill. As you can see, it's very windy, which you think is perfect for sliding, but they're just a tiny bit too big. So when you're sliding, you'll kind of like crash into the wall a bit. Which, by the way, doesn't really slow you down. Walls don't have friction, they just do damage. Right here on one side you have the refill, on the other side you have a boost plate, which means you have to kind of pick between, do I need energy or do I just want to go fast? There's also some boost plates around here. We're not going to bother with them, really. Like, it's better to hit them, but once you're out of the way, it's not really worth like doing a sharp turn to hit them anyway. You'll lose a lot of speed in the progress. So right here, I'm pretty low on energy, so I want to stay on the refill side, if at all possible. This is another weird turn. There's actually a way to skip right into the pipe, but I have not been able to do it as of yet. But that would skip that awkward turn, which means you can actually do a double tap dive instead of whatever I just did. Like a normal jump. Thankfully you're not going too fast there, because that's a jump plate right into a gap, which means if you were to get jump plate glitch, which can happen from like 1400 kilometers per hour, you're just gonna drive straight into death. There's nothing you can do about it. So thankfully that doesn't happen. So that is the first cup done. I'm just gonna let the credits play out and then we're gonna move on to the second cup, which is Silver Cup. I missed 14 points in the end, unfortunately. I'm also gonna take a quick drink. Yeah, another thing to mention is that there is a speed cap in this game. It's 3,000 kilometers per hour. It is very possible to hit that with a good double tap dive, but you generally need to get a lot of height from that. And usually it's not really worth like getting the 3,000s if it extends your setup by a lot. So you kind of have to find a balance between getting speed and then doing a quick setup. But you do lose the speed quite quickly when you're going that fast. This is also a custom track that Philippe Roger made. You see, that's very strange colors. This texture isn't used anywhere else in the game except for Death Race, which is the mode where you have to eliminate all 29 other machines, which he revamped to be very difficult. Normally it's just like a quick little loop. It's not too fast-paced, so if you just keep boosting for a bit, or if you slow down, you'll run into other people. But in the new Death Race, they just keep on boosting. Like, they'll be going 1,400 kilometers per hour consistently. So you can't like catch up to them. And if you try to wait for them, they'll just pass you before you even notice it. It's very difficult. Alright, time for the second cup. Starting with a really fun track, Red Canyon Barrel Roll. Also a very difficult track where there might be an instance of jump plate glitch. So hopefully that doesn't end up happening. Once again, I want to boost slide as much as possible. This one is particularly important to hit, because it sets you up for that double tap dive, which I kind of missed. So I was just going a bit too slow. So now they're all around me, and I kind of don't want that, so hopefully I can kind of get away from the pack with a good double tap dive. Unfortunately, not quite the case. It's also possible to do another double tap dive there and land in the tunnel, but then you're kind of like spinning out of control inside of the tunnel, and you just have to hope that you exit at the right part. You're not like upside down, so you immediately fall. Okay, that was rough. But I'm still alive, so that's good. I was about to die there because I hit the wall. And there we go. Once again, this is the first cup, so I'm gonna reset the cup just to make sure I don't end up game overing later, because then I can't really finish the rest of the Grand Prix. I could still do the tracks in time attack mode, but that's not quite in the spirit of this run. Hopefully we'll be able to do this all without a game over. Nope, that's really bad. Like, that's such a perfect setup for like an amazing double tap dive, but if the CPU gets in your way, they slow you down too much and you just get pulled in by the half pipe. Speaking of half pipe, that's actually how double tap dives were found, and it's actually evidence that the developers kind of knew about double tap dives, but only on like when you're on the track in a half pipe. If you're on the side of a half pipe, you're also at an angle. And that angle can be enough to give you a lot of speed when you're double tapping. But they thought it was a really cool trick, so they decided to leave it in, and I'm really glad they did. This game is so much cooler with the double tap dives. Maybe I shouldn't have boosted there. We're just gonna play it safe for a moment. So right here on the left side is a jump plate, on the right side is refill, so you kind of have to choose, like, do I want energy or do I just want to go fast? A lot of F-Zero is about risk management, like, okay, I will be out of energy when I do this dive, but it will be faster, so should I go for that? It's always a really interesting trade-off, in my opinion.
We have time for another donation.
We do have time for a donation.
Alright, we got 10 euros from Sivir saying, "Hey there everyone, looking forward to seeing the great runs today. Also can't wait to meet all of you amazing people at Angle. Good luck to all the runners." Thank you, Sivir, for that donation.
Thank you. Alright, I actually got another jump plate glitch at the end there, which happened at 1480 kilometers per hour, which is quite rare to get it at that speed, but it can definitely happen. Thankfully, that one's not a big deal. You just go through, you're going in a straight line, so not the end of the world. So here we're going to be doing a slightly different setup for the double tap dive. I crashed right into that and lost all my speed. But yeah, you kind of just go to one side and then you anger yourself. You just go fast. This is kind of bad. That's alright. So normally when I set up a double tap dive, like you've seen me do in the previous tracks, you lose a lot of speed during the setup, which usually is worth it for the trade-off, but sometimes you just want a setup that keeps your speed, is a lot faster, and maybe doesn't gain you quite as much speed because you're not at as steep of an angle. That was risky. You can actually drive inside of the rails in this game. You're taking damage every frame you're doing it though, so usually it's not the best idea. And once again, we're just gonna play it a bit safe here. Make sure I get enough energy. And go for a nice little double tap dive. Where's the track? Okay. Some of these dives are kind of blind because of the limited rendering distance of the Nintendo 64. And also, there might be buildings blocking your way, like right there. So you kind of have to trust your instinct as to where you should be aiming your double tap dive. Because again, you have very little maneuverability once you've started the double tap dive. So it can be quite scary. What are we doing on time? 21 minutes. Oh, we're gonna be more than good. I actually learned a couple new strats since submitting this, but I didn't want to drop the estimate by 5 minutes, because that might be bad if I die a few times. So, this flow, this track's gimmick is that you can't actually see anything. Also, that was not a good dive at all. Wasn't even really a dive, but that's okay. So, in the GBA game, there's like a very strong mist ahead of you. In this game, you can't emulate that exactly, but you can put the track in such a way that you're inside of the clouds, which will also obscure your vision a bit. And then, of course, with the track itself being white, it is very difficult to see. Now, right here, we are in the loop part. There's just boosters. There's not much to it. Again, in the original game, there's a jump plate, and you can... Actually, there's 2 jump plates that you can jump from to skip all of that loop. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, so right there, I couldn't actually see where I was aiming. I didn't go far enough to the left. That's my own fault. This is one of the more difficult tracks for me.
Do we have time for another donation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, we got a 75 euro donation from Cruel saying, so by not being able to go to BSG, I figured I'd save some money, so might as well use it here. Let's see, that's about 10 bucks worth of drinks, 25 or so on food, probably about 20 or so on donations. Heck, let's just round it up to 75. You guys keep the change. Good luck, crew and runners, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. The 40 euros go to picking up the validation chest, the remaining 35 will go to runner's choice.
Oh, I have no idea what incentives we have, so we're gonna have to take a look later. Unless you just want to read me some, that also works.
I can definitely tell them all, just so everyone in chat knows the donation incentives that we still got going on. First up, we got, for Donkey Kong Country topical fees, we got watching all bus cutscenes. It's currently at 10 euros out of 60 euros. After that, we got the Mario Kart Wii character selection. We got a choice from 6 different characters. We got Daisy, Funky, me, Rosalina, Waluigi, or Yoshi. Currently in the lead is Daisy with 20 euros, with the other ones still at nothing. Then we also got some character names for in the Pokemon Gold any percent race, any percent no bad clone race. We got characters, names for the rival name, for the Totodile name, trainer name. All currently no donations for that one yet, so it's very easy to snipe one of those names at this moment. after that, we got picking up the character name for Link to the Past randomizer. Also, still no donation incentive. Still no donation towards that one either. We got a donation more for the Link to the Past randomizer as well for either picking up the validation chest or bombing the validation chest. Bro made it sure that that one, wait, hang on, I gotta refresh this. I'm up to date. Currently in the lead is 40 euros for picking up the validation chest. And last but not least, we also got a donation incentive for watching the final cutscenes of Breath of the Wilds.
Oh my, that's a lot of donation incentives.
I hope I read them all correctly. It's a lot of them.
Yeah. You know what, let's give Daisy some competition. Let's go for Rosalina.
Alright.
Okay, so this is Firefield Frontline. In the original game, this track is very wide and it has like a million mines. You can't quite recreate that in this game. So instead, we have some new elements, such as this pipe, which hopefully we will be able to do a sick dive of. Hopefully not miss. My goodness, that is scary. And other than that, it is mostly going in a straight line, because Philippe wanted to stay true to the original minimap. But yeah, because you can't just make the track wider or that wide and everything, it kind of just ends up being a track where you go in a straight line and they have a 90-degree turn. But I think the pipe really does add a lot to it. But I can't seem to land the double tap dive, unfortunately. It is a strat I've only recently learned. You also want to be very careful, because if you don't go near enough to the cylinder, the gravity doesn't pull you in and you'll just die. Or if you hit it at too high of a speed, you might just like bounce off of it, because the cylinder's gravity isn't that strong. So it can be a bit of a problem. There we go, that is much better. That's bouncing off of the cylinder. Unfortunate. So I'm actually out of lives at this point, so let's just not go for that anymore. So instead we're just going to be taking the boost plates that are on the cylinder, which are always in the top right. So there's 1, 2, and then another one down here. So with that, you don't actually lose too much time from not doing the tunnel or the cylinder dives, so it's just a lot safer. One interesting thing to note about sliding is that at the start of your slide and at the end of your slide, you're going to be losing speed. So sometimes it might not be worth it to start boost slide, because you can't be in the proper sliding state for long enough to outweigh the speed loss from entering and exiting the slide. So sometimes you'll see me double tap turning, sometimes you'll see me sliding. Actually, I don't think I've explained double tap turning yet, but it is quite simple. You just do a double tap, which is like a side attack, and while you're in that state, you cannot lose your grip. So you can take a turn as sharply as you want. It's very effective. Once again, being very careful, because slamming into the wall at a high speed would... It probably wouldn't have killed me right there, but it definitely could have, so I did not want to risk that. Okay, so right here we have another Red Canyon track. This one is quite different from the first one. This is also one of my favorite tracks to do in the actual F-Zero Climax game. I had a bit of a competition with Snake Lancer to see who could get the best time. Me using drifting strats, him just using straight up normal driving. And it was actually pretty close, so I think I need to work on my drifting in that game. Which, by the way, I'm going to be running F-Zero Climax in BSG Annual, so you definitely want to check that out, see what this game was actually based off of.
speaking about Angel, do we have time for a donation?
We do.
I know it seems a little bit weird, but trust me, it works. We got €5 donation from Shuri Bear saying, not be able to be there in person this month. However, super hyped for Angel though. I put my donation to naming the rifle name Blame M3 because it fits.
Alright, so we still got Black Bull ahead of us, which is kind of surprising because that's the worst vehicle in this game. But again, the difference isn't too big between all of them. Also, there's a nice little jump we can do right there to skip going over the 90-degree turns, or at least one of them. Now that'll ensure that we don't slam into the wall and lose a lot of energy and speed, so it is pretty convenient. Unfortunately, you can't just cross the entire gap over to the other side, because at that point you'll be missing checkpoints. Actually, I think it is possible if you maneuver in the air a certain way and then do like a double tap dive and do all sorts of crazy stuff that I don't quite know how to do. So for now, I'm just going for these strats. It worked pretty well. And right there, the dirt slowed me down a lot. Like, if you're driving over dirt, you're going to be slowing down, like, super quickly. Unless you're boosting, in which case, the dirt doesn't affect you. Don't question why dirt slows down a flying machine. Just don't. So we have one more track, and then time will be at the end of the third lap. Oh, we're actually getting pretty close to the estimate because of those 2 deaths, but that's alright. So this track is pretty basic. It has a lot of boosters and just turning. And then it has one huge dive at the end. And hopefully I'll be able to land that properly. Otherwise we are going to have to do this in time attack mode. Because if I miss that dive just once, then it's over. I'm out of lives, so let's try and make sure that doesn't happen, but also let's make sure it's a good show. Let's go for a lot of speed. Okay, I have to play it a bit careful there. But that's not bad at all. So we were in 30th place just a bit ago. Right now we're gaining on everybody. Although they are still going quite fast because, you know, they're cheaters. So right here you kind of want to choose between using your manual boost or you're going over to boost blades. When you're manually boosting, there's a bit of a delay where you can't boost. Whereas with boost blades you can just infinitely like keep stacking them. But they are slightly weaker than Bloodhawk's boost, so it's a bit of a trade-off. Alright, final lap. Let's make sure we don't mess up the dive right at the end, because that would be very unfortunate. One more dive and then we will be done. Hopefully, unless I mess it up. Nope, we're good. Unless I die now. Nope, we're okay. That can actually do a lot of damage. And time. Alright, I hit my estimate. I'm happy. And I got to show off some really cool tricks, so that's always fun. So, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and get ready for Bubble Bobble All-Stars. I don't know the exact game title. Stick around.
Thank you, Valyssa, for showing that amazing run. I know I enjoyed it for sure. Up next, we indeed got some sort of bubbly game, but exactly, it's Super Bust-A-Move All-Stars by Luigi Man 22201, so definitely stay tuned for that. It's gonna be a super amazing run, so stay tuned while we set up for that and enjoy the music.